few people actually choose their religion. Most people are raised in a particular religion by their parents or guardians. And, there's a reason why some countries are more Christian, some countries are more Muslim, some countries are more Buddhist, so on and so forth. It's because the people living in those countries raise their children in those religions. And that's why they wind up members of those religions, not because of some conscious choice as an intelligent, educated adult that you want to be part of that religion. So, in a way, you can be forgiven for being brainwashed into a religion by your parents. And as an adult, what you can't truly be forgiven for if you persist is that if you use that religion in order to harm others in an unjust or unfair manner. Because if you do an intelligent analysis of the ethics and the morality of these religions, you will find that they do have flaws. They do have misunderstandings about the world. And they advance those misunderstandings through their religious teaching, trying to argue essentially that their religious teaching is infallible, perfect, from an infallible deity, so on and so forth, so you can't question it. Well, that right there undermines the truth of those religions, because if you're an intelligent human being who's analyzing the ethics and morality of these religions and you realize, oh, well, they got that wrong apparently, but they won't admit it, that right there shows you that it's probably not from a, omniscient deity or a perfect deity. It's from people. And it's from people 2,500 years ago, or 2,700 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, or 1,500 years ago, or 500 years ago, before the existence of advanced science, critical thinking, widespread public education, so on and so forth. So it's not that religions are all bad. And I understand that there's a community aspect to religion as well. So there are good things about religions. They engage in charity lots of times and things like that. Those are not necessarily bad things. But when the religion claims to have some sort of infallible, unquestionable truth from an omniscient, perfect deity, and actually they have things wrong, that's a problem, because they're brainwashing children into those beliefs, and therefore adults wind up within those beliefs as well, holding those beliefs, if they don't learn to question them. So, this is something that, for instance, happened to me. I was raised an Eastern Orthodox Christian or a Greek Orthodox Christian. And the church in which I grew up did not, actively or aggressively preach against homosexuality. But they do have a very ascetic philosophy in the conservative sense, in that really the only acceptable sexuality is heterosexuality within a heterosexual marriage. Everything else is sinful and not, approved of. Well, so that means inherently that gay people are not allowed to pursue sexuality because it doesn't fit into that. It's not heterosexual sex within a heterosexual marriage. So, gay people are inherently sinful and unable to pursue sexuality then within that framework. Well, here's the thing. Gay people choose their sexual orientation no more than heterosexual people choose their sexual orientation. Sexual orientation defined as the sex, meaning gender sex, like male, female, or both, that you are inherently and instinctively attracted to. And most people find that out at puberty, right? Like before puberty, we in theory are not sexual beings, we're children. And then once we go through puberty, we become erotic adults and crave sexuality and, eroticism, love, romance, and all that, right? So puberty hits and we find out what we're sexually attracted to typically. Well, for me, I found out I was instinctively attracted to men and only men. I'm not attracted to women at all. So that meant that the church in which I was raised was essentially preaching against me, preaching against my existence. Of course, they're going to go on and on about Christian love and forgiveness and so on and so forth, and God loves everybody, blah, blah, blah. But we're sorry, this is one of your basic needs of life as an adult. You can't act on it at all. Sorry about that. When people seek to stop you from meeting your basic needs of life, when those basic needs of life do not harm others, they are essentially seeking to torture you. So the Orthodox Christian Church, when it denies sexuality, approved sexuality to gay people, it is seeking to actively torture gay people. You can maybe think that's an extreme description, but all you have to think about, if you are for instance, a man who's super horny like I am, and somebody was telling you that you can never have sex and you can never have any sex that you actually want, sorry about that. Is that not torture? Denying someone one of their basic needs of life? Of course people can be celibate, but it's not reasonable to expect ordinary people to be celibate. Maybe someone who is, has a low sex drive and wants to be celibate, sure, they can be celibate. But the average male with a strong sex drive, no, it's not fair to expect people to be celibate when we're talking about adults, consensual sexuality. Emphasizing adult consensual, okay? We're talking about consenting adults. So no one should be trying to interfere with that. We're talking about basically a basic need of life and a human right. So on the one hand, while I understand that we don't choose our religions, so you can be forgiven for being raised in an anti-gay religion. What you can't be forgiven for is if you persist in today's modern world with access to so much information that it just doesn't click for you. That just like you, I didn't choose my sexual orientation and I'm just trying to live my life and pursue adult consensual sexuality. So if you are going to say that for some reason I'm sinful or a bad person for pursuing that, but you're not a bad person for pursuing that, if you don't see the hypocrisy and the unfairness in that, you are a bad person. You are immoral. You are unethical. This is why the Western world has changed so dramatically on this, because the Western world in general embraces the harm principle perhaps a bit more than Eastern or older world societies do, in the sense that you should be allowed to do what you want so long as you're not harming others. So if you're not actually harming others or being a nuisance to others or putting them at undue risk, you should be able to live your life and pursue what you want. And the West is more in line with that kind of morality and ethics, also with, just embracing science in general and finding out that, the data bears out. People do not choose to be gay. Like, in other words, the sexual orientation of being homosexual or androphilic as a man or gynophilic as a woman is no more a choice than it is for a heterosexual person. And yes, we are a minority. So it's, unfortunately we are prone to being scapegoated then because there are fewer of us. But it is no less natural or instinctive for us. So we should be able to pursue our adult consensual sexuality just like you should be. And this is where the morality of the Abrahamic religions, when they seek to persecute, oppress, murder, torture gay people, breaks down, and it actually exposes that these religions are not perfect. They are not universally correct from a omniscient deity. They are flawed from people. So if you want to deny someone one of their basic needs of life as an adult consensual sexuality, then deny it to yourself and see how you like that.